He wasn't trying to be funny. He wasn't trying to charm her. He wasn't leaning in, working the conversation, looking for the right moment to say the right thing. He was just present. They were standing outside a restaurant after dinner, waiting for her car, and she mentioned offhandedly that she'd had a rough week. Nothing dramatic, just one of those weeks where everything took more energy than it should have. He looked at her for a moment, not with pity. Not with the kind of performance sympathy where someone immediately launches into, oh no, what happened, mining for details. He just said, tell me. 2 words. She looked at him and something shifted in her face. Not a full smile yet, but something close, something softer. The kind of expression that happens before a person even realizes they're making it. She talked for 10 minutes. He listened, not fixing, not problem solving, not redirecting, just receiving what she said. When she finished, she took a breath, looked at him, and laughed quietly. I don't even know why I told you all that, he smiled. Because you needed to. She smiled back, and that smile, the real one, the unguarded one, wasn't about him being clever. It wasn't about the words at all, technically. It was about how she felt in the space those words created. That's what this video is about. What most men get wrong about making a woman smile. There's a version of this topic that gets talked about in the wrong way constantly. The idea that making a woman smile is about wit, about timing, about having a repertoire of the right things to say at the right moments. And look, humor matters, lightness matters. But if you've spent any time around a woman who genuinely lights up in a man's presence, you've probably noticed something. It rarely has much to do with how funny he is. It has to do with how seen she feels. This is the core of female psychology that most advice completely misses. Women don't smile because a man entertained them. They smile. The real, involuntary, unguarded smile because something in the interaction made them feel understood, felt, met exactly where they are. And the men who produce that response naturally without trying aren't doing it through performance. They're doing it through 2 specific words used at specific moments, words that signal emotional attunement at exactly the point when a woman least expects it. Here's what those 2 words are. And more importantly, here's why they work the way they do. The first word, tell me. Not tell me about yourself. That's a prompt, and it puts her in interview mode. Not you should tell me sometime. That's vague, and it signals mild interest at best. Just tell me. 2 words. Quiet, direct, unhurried. Used in the right moment, when she mentions something lightly, almost in passing, the way people do when they're testing whether the other person actually cares, these 2 words do something that very few conversational moves can do. They make her feel like the thing she was about to brush off is worth saying out loud. There's a pattern in how women share things, especially women who've been through their share of relationships, who've learned to read the room, who've gotten skilled at gauging how much space they're actually being given versus how much is being performed. They'll mention something real, something that matters, wrapped in a light, almost throwaway delivery. Oh, it's been one of those weeks. My daughter and I had a weird conversation yesterday. I used to love this kind of place, actually. These are invitations, small ones, low-risk ones that can be easily ignored if the other person isn't paying attention, and usually are. Most men miss them entirely. Not because they're not interested, but because they're still running the conversation in their heads, still thinking about what to say next, still managing their own presentation. Tell me signals something different. It signals that you caught the invitation, that you're not managing the conversation, you're actually in it. And when a woman realizes mid-sentence that she's actually being listened to, not waited on, not processed, but genuinely received, something happens in her physiology that she has almost no control over. She relaxes. And when a woman relaxes in your presence, the smile isn't something she decides to give you. It just happens. Psychologists who study emotional attunement, the process of genuinely aligning with another person's emotional state, have found something consistent. Feeling accurately perceived by another person activates the same neural pathways as physical warmth. The brain, quite literally, registers this person sees me in a similar way to comfort, to safety. This is why tell me lands the way it does. It's not just an invitation to talk. It's a signal delivered in 2 quiet words that says, you are worth the space it takes to actually hear you. For a woman who's been in relationships where she wasn't heard, or dates where she felt like a supporting character in someone else's story, those two words hit something deeper than the surface layer of conversation ever reaches. You don't deploy this. You notice the moment and respond to it. She says something in passing, something with a little weight behind it, even if she's kept the delivery light. You look at her, you let a small beat pass, and you say, "Tell me," not as a technique, not with an agenda, with actual curiosity about what's under the surface of what she just said. The curiosity is the whole thing. The words just give it a form. The second word, really. Said a specific way, not as a question, not the skeptical really that challenges or doubts, not the performative really that performs enthusiasm without feeling it. The really that works is the one that lands like, "I just got more interested in you," said slightly lower, slightly slower, followed by eye contact and a genuine lean in, not physical necessarily, but attentional, like something she said just opened a door you actually want to walk through. This version of really does two things simultaneously. First, it mirrors her emotional state back to her at exactly the right moment, which is the definition of emotional attunement. She said something, you received it, and your response showed her that it registered, that she moved something in you. Second, and this is the part that produces the smile, it creates a small, genuine moment of surprise. Because here's what women are accustomed to, especially in the early stages of getting to know someone. A certain level of performance. Men who are trying, men who are asking the questions they think they're supposed to ask. Men who are interested in the general shape of her life, but not necessarily in the specific, unexpected, slightly strange detail she just mentioned. When a man hears something unexpected, something that reveals a layer she wasn't sure she'd share, and his response is a quiet, genuine really that makes clear he just got more curious, not less, that breaks the pattern entirely. She didn't expect to be met there. And being met somewhere you didn't expect is one of the fastest paths to a real, unguarded smile. Robert is 63. He's on a second date with a woman named Nadia, warm, self-possessed, the kind of person who's clearly been through enough to not be easily impressed. The conversation has been good, but surface level, safe. Then she mentions, almost as a footnote, that she used to restore antique clocks, not as a profession, just as a thing she did for years. And she stopped, a little after her divorce. Most men would say, "Oh wow, that's cool," and move on. Or ask a polite question and then steer the conversation somewhere else. Robert looks at her, slightly tilts his head, says, "Really?" Not a question, not a performance, just a genuine moment of, "That just got interesting." Then, "Tell me about that." She laughs a little, caught off guard, in the best way. Because no one has asked her about the clocks in years, because she didn't expect him to notice that she'd stopped. She talks for a while. He listens, actually listens. Later, walking to their cars, she's smiling in the easy, unplanned way. The kind that doesn't have anything to do with the joke someone told or the wine they drank. The kind that comes from having spent time with someone who made her feel like herself. She doesn't have a name for what he did. She just knows she wants to see him again. The thread between both words, you've probably noticed that these two words, "tell me" and "really," aren't tactics in any conventional sense. They don't manufacture attraction. They don't perform interest. They reveal it. And that's the distinction that matters most when it comes to female psychology at this level. The level of emotionally mature women who've seen enough to know the difference between a man who's acting interested and a man who is. The smile these words produce, the real one, the unguarded one, the one she didn't decide to give, comes from one place, feeling genuinely met. Not flattered, not entertained, met. That's what emotional attunement actually is. It's not a technique you learn. It's a way of being present that some men stumble into naturally, and that most men can develop deliberately once they understand what's actually happening beneath the surface of attraction. These two words are the simplest expression of it. Tell me, really. Said from genuine curiosity, said without agenda, said with enough stillness that she has room to actually respond. That's the whole mechanism. And once you start using it, not as a move, but as a real shift in how you pay attention, you'll notice something happen consistently. The smile that you never planned for, the conversation that goes longer than either of you expected, the moment at the end of the evening where she's not quite ready to leave. None of it because you said the right thing. Because you were actually there before you go. Think about the last conversation you had with a woman, a date, someone you're getting to know, where she mentioned something in passing and you let it go. What would have happened if you'd said, "Tell me," instead? Leave a comment with one word, present, if this landed for you. I read every single one. And if you want to understand the deeper psychology of what women are actually responding to when they feel that pull toward a man, the next video goes into something most men never figure out until it's too late. You won't want to miss it.